Hi there, my name is Elise and I am a cross-stitch designer. I own Spruce Craft Co and we make kits and subscription boxes and PDF patterns out of my cross-stitch designs. And this is my first ever FlossTube video. Okay, so today in my first video, I thought I would show you some of the current projects that I'm working on. I want to tell you about our new stitch along that starts in July. And I also want to run maybe a sneaky little giveaway to do with the stitch along. We need to unbox some stitchy parcels that I've just received. And finally, I really need to get started on the stitch along supplies bundles. And that is a bit of a task. So I'll show you how I set up for that. But before all of that, I desperately need to get this office clean. So I usually try to keep on top of it and I try to do a reset every Friday afternoon, but I didn't last Friday. And then on Mondays, they're usually big packing days because I pack all the orders from over the weekend. So right now it is mess upon mess upon mess. This is a small space and it gets messy really quickly. And that is because there are so many little tiny bits to a cross-stitch business. There's little bits of cotton and tiny little pieces of paper. Everything's tiny and there's a lot of it. So it's very easy for things just to get out of control. But the good news is it doesn't take too long to clean up because everything has a place. It just needs to be put there by me. So we'll get that done and then we'll get down to business. Okay, I feel like I can think a little bit straighter now. I do always try to clean up as I go along, but sometimes best laid plans and sometimes work just gets in the way. So I have been wanting to update and sort of show my YouTube channel a bit of love for years. Like this has been on my to-do list for years and years and years. But I give myself a little bit of grace because I have very little children. So I've got 3 boys and they are 7, 2 and 3. And I feel like I've really needed a quiet place to make these YouTube videos. You can imagine that our house is very loud. There's a lot of Paw Patrol, but today they're all at daycare and school and I've got a nice quiet house that I can sit down and actually create some videos. And I'm discovering it's quite a steep learning curve to learn how to edit long form videos. Like I'm really used to just chucking up some short clipped versions of videos on YouTube, on TikTok and on Instagram. But YouTube is sort of a different kettle of fish. FlossTube is something that I only recently learned of. And when I first learned of it, I didn't think it was really that relevant to me because I am a cross-stitch business. But I watched a few and they were really entertaining and they were so easy just to have on as background when you're stitching. Because a lot of us don't like to stitch in complete silence. We like to have a little something on to keep us entertained. And then it hit me that, yes, I own a business, but I am also a stitcher as well. So, and I've got a lot that I could be sharing. I spend 5 days a week with cross stitch, longer if you count all the personal stitching time. So I do have plenty of content for a FlossTube channel, but if you've got any suggestions of other things that you might want to see, feel free to leave a comment because I'm always going to be trying to make these videos better. But in order to make them better, I just need to put them out there in the first place. I think aiming for perfection is a form of procrastination, at least for me. So I just need to upload the videos, get your feedback and see how they go. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to show you some of the projects that I've been working on. This is one that I really need to get finished. So this is half finished now. So this is going to say Stop Killing Women and it's going to have lots of pretty pink and blue and yellow flowers. This isn't my design. This is the design of a charity called Red Hearts and that charity is run by a lady called Sherelle Moody, and her work is specifically around domestic violence and highlighting the victims of domestic violence and making sure that their legacy lives on. So once I finish this is going to be a kit, and I'm going to have 100% of the profits from these kits going to be donated to her charity. Every little bit helps. So this is something I desperately need to get finished. This is a good reminder. And I thought, you know, I tried it on white fabric. I mocked it up on white fabric, and I just thought the colors worked really well on black. So I'll show you that when that's all done. Two other little things I'm doing. This one is finished. This is a colorful snowflake. So I wanted to try this one, design this one with sort of tropical colors because of juxtaposition that against the snowflake design. So I'm really happy with the colors that turned out there. And I'll give you a shot of the back because the back is actually quite nice. Because there's so much white space in between, it can be hard to get a really neat back, but I don't think I did too bad of a job. You can see here. I have no idea what I'm going to call these, but these will be released as PDF patterns and kits eventually. I am going to release it along with this one. This one isn't quite finished, so similar idea. I have quite bright tropical colors with the snowflake design, and this one's on the black fabric. And the back of that one, a little bit messier maybe, but you know what I always say, the back is none of our business. So once I've got that finished, and I've got a name for them, I've started using ChatGPT to help me with names because that's something I've always been terrible at, naming my products. And ChatGPT has a little bit of a flair for that, so I'll take any help I can get. So I do also have a couple of other projects that I'm working on, bigger ones, but I can't show you because they are future stitch-alongs and they are top secret. So if you have never heard of a stitch-along before, they are basically mystery designs. So you sign up for the stitch-along and then we reveal a different part of the design once a month for however long it goes for. Mine usually go for 6 months. Usually a big group of us do it together and we watch the design unfold as we go along. Now I first started doing stitch-alongs not long ago now, maybe coming up to 2 years ago. And for some reason I had it in my head that it's not something that would be viable in my business. And I think because of the mystery design element, because there's a lot of trust that you have to put in me as the designer to start a cross stitch where you don't know what it's going to look like in the end. And I'm very conscious of that faith that everyone puts in me. But right off the bat, the stitch-alongs were really successful. Lots of people really love them and I love doing them. So that's a little bonus. So now we've been doing 3 a year, but I am going to ramp that up to 4 a year from now on because we're going to do 1 per quarter. So that way there's always a couple, like there's usually always one starting, one we're in the middle of and one coming up. So if there's one that you don't think you like the theme of, or if you just need a bit of a break, you can just choose not to join one and then maybe one in the future catches your eye. So I always want to have a rotation of designs going. And also the more frequently I do them, the more often I can sort of try something new. And I think one of the reasons that they were successful from the beginning was a lot of people knew my own style of designing. So I tend to have things, my designs, you know, you can probably tell they're always quite colorful. They're quite simple in their designs. Like I do use backstitch, but I don't use it a lot. So I mainly use whole stitches. I never use anything fiddly like quarter stitches or 3/4 stitches. None of that. I don't do French knots or anything. I like to keep things simple because my interpretation of cross stitch is more about the journey than the finished product. And I personally find whole stitches a lot more enjoyable to do. So that's why I design most of my projects in whole stitches. And I think I've probably used just about every cotton color there is available. DMC are going to need to come out with some more colors because I need more. And then because people knew that that was my design style, I think they felt comfortable signing up to the mystery stitch-alongs. And so from that very first design, We've just sort of gone from strength to strength. The current stitch along we're doing right now is my first ever black work design. And even though it's black work, which is traditionally just done with black cotton, it wouldn't be a spruce design if it didn't have at least 10 or 11 different rainbow colors in there. So my spin on the black work design has lots of colors as well. And that's called Color Pop. We're up to, I think we're up to part 3. So we're halfway through. So I'll pop up a picture of what it's looking like right now. One thing I like to do with my stitch alongs is keep them open the whole way through. The majority of people sign up at the beginning, and I usually offer like a little early bird discount as an incentive. And that's because it helps me, the more people I get at the beginning, the better it helps me plan for the release. So it helps me know how much cotton and how much fabric I need. So we get a little bit of we both win. You get a discount and I get that information that I need. But we do have a lot of people signing up halfway through, or especially after part 1 is released, because I think some people just need that little bit of a reassurance of what is this going to look like. And that is perfectly fine. I might even do that myself if I was joining in a stitch along. And especially if you're new to me as a designer and you don't know, really what my particular style is, sometimes it is helpful just to join in halfway through. And some people don't like to wait. They don't want to wait each month. So they might leave it a few months, then join up. And then if you sign up halfway through, then you will get parts 1, 2, and 3 right from the beginning. And that way you'll have a bigger project to work on, and there's not quite as much waiting in between for the different parts to be released. So I wasn't sure if stitch alongs were going to be something I could talk about on a YouTube channel because I don't have the physical product here to show you. If I was doing the stitch along as a customer, I could show you month by month the progress that I've made. But because I stitch everything up right at the beginning, because I like to see how it looks, I've got nothing to show you. But I can show you some of our past designs. Okay, so this is one that is finished. I think this might have been stitch along number 2. And this is called Gnome Place Like Home. You can see all the different gnomes and their activities. So what we had is each part was released. So this gnome picking apples, that would be one part. This gnome fishing, that would be another part. This was a 7-part stitch along. So you can see lots of colours, lots of nice easy stitches. This one was a lot of fun. And this one we just finished. What are we in now? May. Okay. Honestly, all the months just blur into one. This was I think we finished this off this year. We started it last year. I have no idea. This might have been number 4. Who knows? Okay, this one was called Neon Circus. And as I'm looking at it, this last part up here, the ticket box, there's a few stitches missing. So I must have run out of time, but I will get back to finishing that off. So this one was an especially challenging design because not only is it on black fabric, which you probably know is an extra little challenge, but we use 2 different colors of the neon metallic thread, not metallic, I think they call it the Light Effects thread. It's like a specialty thread, and it is a lot harder to stitch with than normal cotton. But the payoff, it's amazing. It looks excellent. It's showing up quite well on camera, but in person, it's just so bright, especially the yellow. So this was a fun one, but it was definitely one of the more harder designs that I've created. And I made sure after that design to follow it up with more of an easier stitch along, just to give people a break. So every now and again, I think I'll try something that people can experiment with. I'm thinking of creating a stitch along using variegated thread next. And that might actually look good with a black work stitch along. So constantly have ideas going through my head. Never know when an inspiration's going to strike. So that's 2 of the stitch alongs. The next stitch along that starts next month in July. So part 1 will be released on July 4th. That is called Little Christmas Shops. So as you can probably tell, that has a Christmas theme. So even though I can't show you that, What we have already done, our previous stitch alongs, were called Little Summer Shops and Little Winter Shops, and kind of get an idea of what Little Christmas Shops is going to be like. So here we have, so each month a new little shop is released. So what do we have here? We have, I think number 1 was our little bakery. Then we had our craft shop. See, there's a little DMC cotton tree here. What did we do next? I can't remember the order. We might have had the coffee shop, the pizzeria, the surf shop. Not the surf shop. Surf shop was in Little Summer Shops. This is the ski shop here. And down here we've got the day spa. So you can see that all of these shops are winter themed. Like you want to go to a bakery, you want to have pizza, you want to have a hot coffee. And then all the summer shops had summer themed. So like I said, the surf shop. What else did we have? A smoothie bar. Let me look it up because I cannot remember. I've got too many designs and only one brain, and that is a problem sometimes. Okay, so we also had, in the summer shops, we also had a florist, a barber shop because you want to get your hair cut in summer, and an ice cream parlor and a burger bar. So that was fun as well. That was the very first stitch along, and I just had absolutely no idea if people would want this, but they definitely do. So I've kept going with the little shop themes. So all of these past stitch alongs are still available on my website. I just have a little past stitch alongs tab that you can go and have a look. You know, because once the stitch along's over, they can just go up as digital download patterns. So they don't ever disappear completely, because lots of work goes into them and they are really great designs. So I want to keep them available for forever. That's the great thing about cross-stitch design. You put in a lot of work initially, and that's the same for stitch alongs. You know, a lot of work goes into this initially, but they're evergreen. So I can just continually keep selling them for as long as I keep this business and keep things going. You never know, I might have my boys take over one day and they'll take over the cross-stitch empire. And one of the great things about the stitch alongs is our Facebook group. So we have a really active Facebook group where everyone shows all of their designs, and especially it's really great for stitch alongs because everyone can show what their progress is. And some people say, oh, I'm falling behind, I've only done part 1, or I haven't started yet. And that's fine. Some people really are on top of it. I have lots of people who, you know, we always release our stitch along parts on Friday mornings, and then by Saturday it's all done. Like people can't wait to stitch them up. And it's really motivating as well having the Facebook group, because people look at it and go, oh, that looks really good, I'm going to start mine. And the other great thing is some people alter the designs. So, you know, some people really love black fabric. So I'll make the designs available with black fabric, or they will choose their own supplies and might tweak the colors a little bit. So we're seeing lots of different variations of the same design. And I love it when people put their own spin on my designs. Like I'm never ever going to say, this is exactly how it needs to be done, because that's the great thing about cross stitch is, you know, you can just change up a color palette or change the fabric and you can create your own unique piece. I mean, cross stitch it's the whole package, but I might be biased. So one of the other things I really like about stitch alongs is because a lot of my kit designs are quite small. So they're about 12 centimeters. 12 by 12-ish, sometimes a little bit bigger. The stitch alongs are larger and they have more colors, and they just let me sort of flex my design muscles a little bit. So I usually keep all my stitch alongs around the same size, around the 20 by 30 centimeters. And I change the orientation depending on what kind of design it is. But I like them to be able to, I like to design my pieces so that you can frame them in a standard size frame. So all of the stitch alongs fit in an A4 size frame. Professional framing is amazing, but it is so expensive. So if we can just pop something in a frame all by ourselves, that just makes cross stitch a little bit more accessible. And they always look just so amazing when they're framed up. You just have to make sure you don't forget to iron. Just give it a press beforehand and then it looks amazing. Okay, so I think now is a good time to do our little giveaway. So I'm going to give away 3 of our PDF spots in our next Little Christmas Shops stitch along. So the PDF spot just means that you get the designs, you get the charts emailed to you every month, and then you use your own supplies and your own fabric to stitch it up. And don't worry, because we give you all the information that you need. You'll have the thread list. It's all in DMC colors. And you'll have all the measurements that you need for your fabric. Just like a regular pattern, it's nice and easy to get started. So if you want to win this PDF prize, just comment Christmas shops somewhere in your comment below. And I'll make sure I draw the prizes before our little Christmas shop stitch along starts. So that's July 4th. So I'll draw it before then. And then we have 3 more people to join us on our next stitch along journey. Okay, that's a lot of talking. Now I think let's unbox some of the packages that I got this week. It's all cross stitch supplies. So, and there's one that I'm really looking forward to opening. So I'll go grab them. 3 packages. Going to open up this big one here first. Now this is from our printers. Don't worry, these are not fabric scissors. It's very important around here that I've drilled it into everyone who lives in my house that fabric scissors are not to be used for anything else. You're never too young to learn about fabric scissors. Okay, so a little bit of an assortment of things here. I'll open them up so that you can have a look at what I've had printed. I'm making a mess again of the office. See how easy it is? When I'm constantly unboxing packages like this, you can see how mess is made really quickly. Okay, first of all, we have the brochures for my next 2 subscription boxes. So the next one that's about to go out this week is called Around the World. And that has some sort of around the world themed designs. With this subscription box, you'll also get fabric which has little passport stamps printed on it. It's very cute and it goes with the designs really well. And then the month after that, we have got one called Feeling Stabby. You can see here, we've got a nice little, this is a craft cross-stitch themed box. Lots of little designs here. So I'm going to make some changes to my subscription box after, I think possibly the Feeling Stabby might be the last one. There might be one after that. But in the second half of this year, I plan to make changes so it will no longer be a monthly box, it's going to be quarterly. But there's a lot to say about that, so I might keep that for another video. So these are all the same, so I'll just pop them over there. Now, speaking of the stitch along that we just talked about, here we have, I've got a big thick stack of the thread lists right here. So this has the measurements, the thread list and the release dates, and this is what we send with all our supply packs. So some people order the PDF only and they use their own supplies. Some people order the pack where they get the PDFs, all the cotton and the fabric as well. So these will go with our packs. So when we started the stitch alongs, I was convinced that most people would buy the PDF and they wouldn't go for the supply bundles, but I was very wrong because the majority of people go for the supply bundles. Okay, so we'll need those soon for when we pack up our bundles. And then here we have, these are some of my kit designs that have been out of stock. Here we have our, oh, I might fold it over so that it doesn't shine through. So that's On Your Bike. It's one of my cross stitch designs kits. These have been out of stock because I've been waiting on a hoop delivery. This is the first time that I have gotten hoops shipped by sea. So it takes a lot longer than flying them over, than by airplane, but it's a lot cheaper. So I think my quotes to fly over 9,000 hoops, it was going to cost $4,000 by air and take about 10 days, or it was going to cost $1,200 and take at least a month up to 2 months by ship. So I decided to try to get in early and I went by ship, and they've just arrived at customs. They should actually be arriving any day. By my luck, they'll arrive in the middle of this video. All right, so that's the On Your Bike. Now that I know the hoops are coming, I can pop these kits back online. This is our hourly rate kit. It says, I am presently experiencing life at the rate of several what the fucks per hour. There we go. This is one of the later designs. So I only released that design, I think, a few months ago. Now this design is sort of the sister design of the bike. This is the combi on pink fabric, cute little turquoise combi van. Now avert your eyes if you don't like swear words, but these are very popular. Who would have thought? So this is a little checklist. This design is called the checklist. There we go. This border is actually, so there's flowers with the backstitch border, and this is very cathartic to stitch because repetitive designs have that cathartic nature about them. This is a surprise opening these up because I don't remember what I ordered, even though it was only a few days ago. And this is called the Forest. This is a nice pretty design with nice colors. Nice simple one. I have designed a Christmas version of that, so I'm going to be releasing that around Christmas time. And this is another funny one. This is called Outlook Finder, and this says, so it's got the Microsoft Outlook logo, and it says, I hope this email finds you before I do. So this is a really fun design. People stitch this up for their co-workers and to hang in their office. A little bit of harmless fun. I think that was it. Okay. All right, box number 2. So this package, big one, is going to be our magnetic frames. How do I open this up? I've made an absolute mess of that. It's opened. I need to leave a review for them. So these are magnetic print hangers. This one's the 30 centimeter one. So these I experimented with last year for, I think it was for our winter shops. So people could choose to add this on. Whoops, whoop, there it goes. People choose to add these onto their supply bundles because these make excellent frames. So we have the Gnome Place like home stitch along I showed you before. See, it's hanging by one of these frames. So what it is, you can pull this off and it's a magnet. It clips together. The other stick has the hanging frame. And because the fabric is so lightweight, these are perfect for that. So I just made sure I ironed my fabric. And then this has been hanging for, I would say, over 6 months, and it has not moved an inch. A tiny little bit. It's been excellent. So I wanted to test them out before I sold them, but I'm really happy with the magnetic holders. I'll put that back together afterwards. And they come in a heap of different sizes. So I always sell the 30 centimeter one with the stitch alongs. But you can see they come in little tiny little 12 centimeters. This would be good for like postcard sized designs. Here we've got 21 centimeters. Oh, we're starting to get longer, 42 centimeters. And then I think I got, is that the largest? Nope. The largest I bought is 50. I think they do have another larger size than this. It just gets tricky shipping it, and I just have to first find solutions for how I would ship a longer one than this. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that was it. I bought a whole stack of them, lots and lots of 30 centimeters. By the rate that the Christmas shops has been selling, I may need to get more, but this I ordered this and it was received within a few days. So this was within Australia. So I'm super happy with that supplier. And I'll have to remember to stock up my website. So if you didn't know this, I also have a second business. I bought my fabric supplier in 2021 called Sew It All Australia. And I sell fabric and all kinds of cross-stitch supplies, and I've popped these on the website. So I have to make sure a lot of this was sold out, so I have to make sure to update those quantities. And I will say that having a supplies business, a cross-stitch business, has made, you know, running Spruce a lot easier, because when I just ran Spruce, I had to be very careful about the kind of supplies that I was buying. So I didn't want to over order, because then I had a heap of supplies just sitting there. But with Sew It All, any supplies that I order, that I over order, I can now just sell it through Sew It All. So both these businesses work together really easily. And there's a lot of crossover in the clientele, as you can imagine. So I think it was a very good decision that day back in 2021 when I decided that I'd buy Peter and Wayne out. So they were retiring. So they were looking for someone to take over. And I was 7.5 months pregnant at that stage. So it was a lot. It was a busy time. But I do have a video. I've either already uploaded it, or it'll be in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to go through my whole business journey for the whole 10 years that I've been a cross-stitch designer. So keep an eye out for that. Now this last one, the smallest. When this arrived, I just stared at this because I could not remember what I had ordered that was this size. But I think you'll love this. I have been introducing needle minders over the last few months. People love needle minders, and so do I, turns out. And it's almost become a little bit of an addiction now, because I've slowly been adding more and more needle minders to the range. So this box is full of needle minders. Oh, there we go. And these are from Caterpillar Cross Stitch, and I only ordered, I think, just 2 of each design because I wanted to try them out. And I also wanted to test the magnets, because I think you can all agree the magnets make or break a needle minder. These are very cute. The packaging is adorable. Look at these little Caterpillar Cross Stitch needle minders. I've got the little turtle. Again, I can't remember what I ordered. So you and I are seeing these for the first time together. A little kangaroo. I'm super impressed with this packaging. Here we've got a little black cat. A little colourful bobbin. It says made to create. A little stack of books. Pretty little butterfly. This little owl. A little birthday hat sausage dog. A little New York taxi. A little dragonfly. A little London bus. And finally, cute little ladybird. So that's going to be a little work getting all of those up onto my Sew It All website. I usually sell everything through Sew It All. Sometimes if I've got extras, I'll pop it on Spruce, but you know, I try to keep both separate. Just makes things easier for inventory so things don't oversell. So it'll be interesting to see how they go and if I can order some more. Yes, ordering needle minders seems to have become my secondary hobby. So I'm always looking for really great ones. Okay, so now the unboxing is done. Last thing to do is to make a start on the stitch along bundles. So that's always a bit of a task, and I'll show you, I'm not going to show you how I make all hundreds and hundreds of bundles, but I'll show you how I get started. And even if I just get a few done today, that's at least I'm getting a head start. All right, so we're going to make up some stitch along bundles. This is my little corner, there are all my cross stitch kits. Down here I have all the extra products that people have bought with the Christmas shop stitch along. I just put them to the side so that they're nice and easy. When I do orders, I'll just pack them into the envelopes. Up here, if you can see, let's do this. I have all my cotton that I need for the stitch along packs. I always just buy a big lot right at the beginning when I kind of have ideas of what kind of numbers we're looking at. Usually I need to do another order, but that should be enough to get us through the first round of packs. Okay, so here I have some fabric that's already been cut up. I need to cut up a lot more. And here are our little thread brochures. And I've got the plastic slips, and that's what everything goes into. So I usually just get them ready. So I have one of our brochures, one piece of Aida. This is 30 by 40 centimeters. And the majority of kits will be on antique white Aida. All of my little shop's designs came on antique white, but there are a couple of other options as well on the website. So I've got my pack ready for cotton to go into. Now I usually find making them up in packs of 12 are the easiest, and I'll show you why that is in just a second. So I will just make those packs up now. Okay, here I have 12 packs. Move these out of the way. Okay, now we've got the cotton. So even though putting together these packs is really quite simple, it is very easy to lose track and to leave out a certain color of cotton or just miss a couple or get things mixed up. So I found that this way is the easiest way to keep on top of everything. So the first thing I do is lay out all the boxes by color so I can keep track of them. Okay, all laid out, and now I double check that I've got all the colors I need. 16. Okay, there's 16 colors in this design, so all good so far. Now I just need to cut all the elastic bands because all these packs are tied together. The elastic bands are not savable because they're all already stretched to breaking point, so I just cut them with scissors to make things easier. You might be able to see that it's not level. There's a couple of colors that I have an extra box or two. That's just because I ordered a little bit of extra for my regular stash when I was ordering. So I'm just going to level it off and make sure that, so this is the lowest. I'm going to make sure that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 boxes of each. All these extras I'm just going to put aside because I probably will need to order more cotton already. But at least I have some here. So now I have 12 boxes of each color, and now I take one box from each pile, just one. 8, 16. So now all the piles remain level, and that's just another way of seeing that I haven't used too much of one color, haven't accidentally added 2 grays or 2 reds. So that's one way of keeping on track. So now that I have my colors here, in each box there are 12 of each color. So when I said that I make up the packs 12 at a time, that's why. One pack of each color makes 20 supply bundles. And then I usually just open up, say 4 at a time. And I just start putting them into little sets of cotton. And see, by the time you start getting to the end here, I have got 12 equal packs of 4 because I've done 4 colors. And then I just repeat that another 2 times. Get out all my cotton. Like, it's very time consuming, but it all does eventually come together. So now I will make up the rest of these color palettes. So this is repetitive work, but I find sometimes having some repetitive work where you're still being productive really nice, especially when I get to deal with cotton and lots of colors. It's kind of like a nice hit of dopamine while not having to use your brain too much. In the last lot of cotton I just did, I ended up with 2 khaki greens at the end. So you can see how easy it is just to miss a color, even when you're doing the same thing over and over. But because I hadn't gotten too far in advance, I could easily see which of these little bundles were missing the khaki green. So lots of little stop gaps built into this procedure. This very simple looking procedure, just to stop yourself from making little human errors. And we're always going to have little human errors. There's nothing that's going to, there's no magic cure for that, but the less I can have, the easier life is. Okay, now we just have the last little bundle of 4 colors. I don't know if you can tell by now the colors that I'm using. There's lots of greens, lots of reds, golds, and browns. So still really colorful, but definitely a Christmas theme going on with this color palette. One thing I'm also quite mindful of when I'm creating my stitch alongs is trying to use as many different colors as I can. So there are a lot of people who have ordered every single stitch along I've done, and I'm so thankful for that. And it still boggles my mind. But I like to use, say I've used red in probably all of them so far, I like to use different shades of red in each one, because that way any leftover threads you have can go into your thread stash, and you can build up your stash, which is always a bonus. Okay. All the first 12 bundles are done. Let me give you a closer look. So thank you so much for watching my first ever FlossTube video. Got a pretty good idea now of how I spend my days, my work days. If you've got any comments or any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section. I will try to answer a few questions in the next video. So I'd really love it if you could subscribe. And like I said before, I'm still learning how to edit these videos. They might be a little bit rusty, but I hopefully will get better at that the more videos that we do. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.